Welcome to another video. You've got Mr. Everything English, and this is going to be the most important video when it comes to paper 2. Now, initially guys, I was thinking about releasing lots of different videos going over Macbeth and the unseen poetry and the Romeos and how to write essays and everything. But you know what? I think it's better for you guys if you have everything in one clear video rather than running around trying to figure out what is where. So guys, in this video, we're going to go over the entire English literature paper 2 exam. We're going to go over the questions, we're going to go over the timings. I'm going to try my best, guys, to give you everything that I think you need. If I forget anything, please ask it in the comments below and I will try to get to as many questions as possible. So guys, let's begin and let's go over English literature paper 2. Hey guys, so on Wednesday, this is your exam. The exam, guys, will be on Shakespeare and unseen poetry, and the entire exam, guys, is 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, for a 1 hour, guys, and a 45-minute exam, you are going to be answering 3 questions. Question number 1, guys, this is on Shakespeare. Guys, question number 1, this is on Shakespeare. And this is worth 34 marks. You are given 30 marks for AO1, 2 and 3, and you are given 4 marks for AO4, which is looking at Spag and so on. Now, how do we know that this is the case? Because if we look at the paper, guys, here it says very clearly, section A is with 4 additional marks available for AO4, and this is also the same case for the first unseen poetry question that we will cover in a second. So guys, Shakespeare is 34 marks, 4 marks for AO4 and 30 marks for AO1, AO2 and AO3. Now the entire exam, guys, the entire exam is 1 hour 45. How much time do we spend on the Shakespeare question? For the Shakespeare question, guys, we are spending 50 minutes, the same as we did for paper 1. In 50 minutes, guys, we are looking to do the following. We are looking to spend 40 minutes writing, and we are looking to spend 10 minutes to read, to plan, and to check our work, which is plenty of time. Now, for the writing element of our exams, we are aiming for 4 pretzel paragraphs. That is what we are aiming for when it comes to the Shakespeare element of our exam. Now, how do you make sure, guys, how do you make sure that for the Shakespeare element of your exam, you're hitting the entire mark scheme? So imagine, guys, we are doing 4 paragraphs and we have pretzel over here. So we are essentially, guys, doing 4 paragraphs. Now let's look at the question before we look at how do you address it. Now, these are all the different Shakespeare texts that are done up and down the country, and this one are your 2 most popular texts. So regardless of the text you are doing, how the Shakespeare question works, guys, is you are given an extract and then you are asked a question on the extract. You are told to talk about the extract and the play as a whole. You are aiming to do 2 paragraphs about the extract and 2 paragraphs about the play as a whole. So let's go back now. Let's go back and let's look at our plan. So we have 4 paragraphs, guys. We have 4 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, guys, paragraph 1 will be about the extract. Paragraph 2 will be about the whole text. Paragraph 3 will be about the extract, and paragraph 4 will be about the whole text. Now, why are we doing it in this order? Because let's say for argument's sake, you run out of time and you only do maybe half, at least you've answered the question, because you can't just do extract, extract and finish. It must be extract whole text throughout. Now, what do you do for each paragraph? Because don't forget, guys, in our essay, we have to hit AO1, AO2, and we have to hit AO3, because that is the mark scheme that we are working towards. So in paragraph 1, guys, I would like you all to please pick a language device, and when you zoom in, can you either zoom in to a noun, to a verb, to an adjective, or to an adverb. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, guys, this is pretty standard. Now, paragraph 2, I would like you all to again pick out a language device. Guys, I would like you to again pick out a language device, and again, I would like you to zoom in to a noun, to a verb, to an adjective, or to an adverb. However, it is in this paragraph that right over here, guys, in this paragraph, it is where we add our first context. Guys, it is in this paragraph that we are adding our first context. And for Shakespeare, guys, there are 3 contexts that I would like you all to be aware of. For example, you can talk about patriarchy, you can talk about Freud, and you can talk about Butler. These are 3 good contexts to talk about. Now, patriarchy is the idea that men dominate society. Freud, he was the person who wrote a theory about the human brain, and he said that the human brain has a part called the id, and the id is our instincts. For example, all of us want to survive. All of us want to worship. Now, I would like you all to focus on the worshipping part of our instinct. And this is the idea, guys, this is the idea that we all worship something. Macbeth worships power. Lady Macbeth worships power. Romeo worships Juliet. And it's the idea that we are guided by our instincts. And Butler, she argued, guys, Judith Butler, she argued that gender is a performance. It's not fixed. So for example, when Lady Macbeth says, unsex me here, she's trying to perform a certain type of woman. But guys, those are just some examples of context that you may want to use. You don't have to use them. The one that will always be apparent, guys, is the idea of patriarchy. And then we move on to paragraph number 3. Guys, then we move on to paragraph number 3. In paragraph 3, I would like you all to speak about structure, and I would like you all to speak about form. Now, this is easy when it comes to Shakespeare, because we know Shakespeare is a play, and every play has an audience, so we know we can speak about that there. For structure, you may speak about foreshadowing, you may speak about dramatic irony, you may speak about flashbacks, whatever is evident on the day. And then, guys, in paragraph 4, if you're going to do context twice, then this is the second part where you add context. But whatever context you add here, make sure it's different to whatever you picked at the top. And then we have our technique, guys. For this technique, it's up to you. You can either pick lang or you can either pick structure. And for zooming in, again, you can pick whatever you want. The reason you can pick whatever you want is because if you follow the plan, by the end of paragraph 3, you've ticked off AO1, you've ticked off AO2, and you've ticked off AO3. That is why in paragraph 4, you almost have freedom to do whatever you like. And that is a base plan for a pretzel paragraph. Sorry, this is the base plan for an English literature essay. Now, just to show you guys how you might go about doing it, guys, remember, guys, we have 40 minutes to write and 10 minutes to plan. So let's plan one paragraph together. How Shakespeare presents the attitudes toward the supernatural. The instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles, to betray us in deepest consequence. Okay, this is my reference. So guys, don't forget, I am doing P, R, T, E, Z, E, and L. So that is my reference complete. Now, to make it easier for you guys, I'll do structure and I'll do language. In this paragraph, I am going to pick out foreshadowing. Banquo is foreshadowing the danger of listening to the witches. If you listen to the witches, they're gonna eventually betray you. They're gonna eventually get you stuck. And then, guys, so that's my technique done. And then for zooming in, guys, I'm gonna talk about the idea of how so I'm gonna zoom in, guys, to the metaphor. Guys, I'm gonna zoom into the metaphor, and this is the metaphor that he compares the witches to instruments, and it's the idea that they will play some of the characters. So how does he present his attitudes towards the witches in this paragraph? I'm going to make it very clear, guys. He makes it very clear that the witches the supernatural cannot be trusted. and there I've planned one pretzel paragraph. And all I will do, guys, on the day is I will turn this into a pretzel paragraph. And that is how you do the Shakespeare question, guys, in your exam. 4 paragraphs, and here is the structure of your essay. Practice that at home and see how you get on. Then, guys, we move on. Poetry number 1. This is the first unseen poetry question. And this question, guys, is worth 28 marks. Guys, this question is worth 28 marks. 24 marks are available for AO1 and AO2. There is no AO3 because it is an unseen poem. So we don't need no context at all. And the other 4 marks, guys, are available. Guys, the other 4 marks are available for AO4, which is clearly proven from this part of the paper here. Now, we spent 50 minutes on question number 1. For unseen poetry number 1, we are spending 40 minutes. That's 1.5 hours of our exam now gone. Now in 40 minutes, guys, we are spending 30 minutes for our writing time, and we are spending 10 minutes to read, to plan, and to check through our work. Now for the writing, guys, for this one, we are doing 3 pretzel paragraphs. That is what we are aiming for. Now, what kind of question will you get in your exam? And here is the question: how does the poet present ideas about living a happy and contented life? So all you have to do now, guys, is you have to now pick 3 quotes and analyze 3 quotes in this poem. Now, there's one thing that I have to mention when it comes to unseen poetry. And this is talking about structure and form. There's a few things that I must talk about. When it comes to the structure of unseen poetry, can you all please speak about one of the following in your answer? I need you all to get the mark for language, structure, and form. Now, for those of you aiming for the top marks, please talk about one of these, because this is poetry specific terminology. A volta is the shift in the poem. It could be happy to sad, it could be angry to calm, but the volta is the shift. A caesura, guys, is when there's punctuation in the middle of the line. Enjambment is when there's no punctuation at the end of a line. And a stanza is basically what we call a paragraph in a poem. For example, guys, in this poem, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas. Then, guys, form. What forms do we have to know when it comes to poetry? The only ones that I care about are the ones that are coming up in your exam. The first form of poetry is an epic poem. An epic poem, guys, is a poem about an event. So if there's a poem that talks about war, this is an epic poem. Then, guys, we have a narrative poem. And a narrative poem is a poem that tells a story. Then we have a sonnet. A sonnet is a 14-line, conventionally a love poem. But it doesn't have to be romantic love. It can be love in many forms. Then, guys, we have a dramatic monologue. Guys, a dramatic monologue is when you've got one person talking the whole way through the entire poem. And finally, guys, if it's not any of these, then your poem will be free verse. A free verse poem, guys, is a poem that doesn't follow any rules and it does what it wants. Now, how or what are you supposed to be doing when it comes to planning this essay? For Shakespeare, guys, we had 4 paragraphs. For unseen poetry, we are aiming for 3 pretzel paragraphs. So in paragraph 1, as always, I would like us all to talk about language. And when we zoom in, we also zoom in to language. In paragraph 2, I would like us to talk about structure. And when we zoom in, guys, I would like us to talk about form. In paragraph 3, I would like you to talk about language. And when you zoom in, guys, I would like you to please talk about structure. There is a basic plan of how you make sure you hit AO1 and AO2. But let's try applying it to an exam question. How does the poet present ideas about living a happy and contented life? So Harry didn't care for things that other people provide, like money, houses, bank accounts, and lies. This here, guys, all of it will be my reference. Now, what's my technique and what am I gonna zoom into? When it comes to zooming in, guys, I'm going to be zooming into the enjambment, because if you look over here, there's no punctuation, no punctuation, no punctuation. And when I talk about my technique, guys, I will be talking about a list. That will be my technique. And it's the idea, guys, that Harry really didn't care about things. He didn't care about money. He didn't care about houses. He didn't care about bank accounts. He didn't care about lies. It's a never-ending list. And this idea is further reinforced by the lack of pausing, because it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And then, guys, what's my point? My point is this: about living a happy rich man, be unique. That's my point. I'll elaborate if I do later, but all this poem tells us is that to live a happy and unique life, please be unique. Don't follow the crowd. Don't follow what other people say. So we got our P, we got our R, we got our T, we'll do the Z, E later, we got the Z, we'll do the E and L later, and there is a pretzel paragraph planned for our exam, and that is done also. Then, guys, we move on. Then we move on to the final question of our exam, number 3, and this is the unseen poetry question number 2, but this is the third question in our exam. Now, this question, guys, is only worth 8 marks. Guys, this question is only worth 8 marks. And for an 8-mark question, we are spending 15 minutes. We are spending 10 minutes for writing, and we are spending 5 minutes for planning. Now, if you follow this structure, guys, let's do our maths. The entire exam is 1 hour and 45 minutes. 50 minutes is question 1. 40 minutes is question 2. That's 1.5 hours. And question 3, guys, is 15 minutes, and that's your total 1 hour 45 minutes in the exam. Now, in this question, guys, you were given another unseen poem. So, guys, in this question, you were given another unseen poem. And what you're asked to do is you're asked to talk about the similarities and or the differences between this unseen poem and the one that you just looked at. Guys, the structure that we're using for this question is very straightforward. Poem number 1, and let's say we have poem number 2. We are doing point, reference, technique, explain, point, reference, technique, explain, and in between the two, guys, in between the two of these, we will be using language such as however or similarly to connect our two paragraphs. So sorry, our points. So if it's a similarity, then we'll say similarly after our effect. If it's a difference, then we'll say however after our effect. And guys, this is all one paragraph. So essentially, guys, how we're going to write is P-R-T-E, P-R-T, and E. And all you need is one of these paragraphs in your exam. If you have time and you want to do 2, you can, but one big paragraph is enough for this question. Do an exemplar for this poem here. Let's plan one P-R-T-E paragraph. So let's use the quote, his friend's tears fell like 1,000 diamonds. Now this will be our reference. My technique here, I can't avoid it, guys, it's the simile. And my point here is that focus on creating memories and focus on building relationships, because that's what is important in life. So I've done my P, I've done my R, I've done my T, and I've done my E. Now all I will do, guys, is I will go to the next poem and I will look for a similar or a different way in which the writer, guys, I will look for a similar or a different way in which the writer presents the life in that particular text. Now, guys, here is a clear example. What I just went through is how you have to approach your English literature paper 2 exam. The essential part, guys, is this stuff on the board. You are doing 3 questions and you have to approach those 3 questions with confidence, knowing what you have to do for each. I've gone through the mark scheme, I've gone through the marks, the minutes, the timings, the paragraph, everything. All you got to do now is go through each question and practice and make sure you know how to approach them. Now, guys, when it comes to the details of what you should write, model paragraphs and so on, we'll cover this in the live stream on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Guys, I hope you found this video beneficial. It's literally a complete breakdown of the entire paper. As always, guys, it's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.